One of the things that I've seen just in my world and with my patients and our online world has been that there is something pivotal that happens around 35.
Yeah.
Like for women specifically.
Yeah.
And I actually brought this to Dr. Amen's attention.
Yeah.
He was on the podcast and I said, tell me what is hormonally happening to women as they transition into their late 30s, into their 40s, because I see such a huge change in mental and physical health.
Yeah.
And you know what he said to me? He said, well, the biggest problem is that we weren't meant to live as long as we're living.
Well, this is the thing, because when I read in the science that your body stops making these 3 critical antioxidants after the age of 30, I thought, well, that's
why.
Crazy. Mother Nature is so clever to create us. Why at 30? So I dug into the science and I found out humans have been on the earth for about 2 million years. And for almost 2 million years, we died at 30. So our biology thinks we're dying at 30. It just stops making them. We have only lived longer in the last 150 years. And our biology I tell people our biology has not caught up with our destiny. We are now living to 80 to 90 and possibly longer, but we're not living well. So who wants to be 40 and 50 and 60 and be incapacitated?
Yeah.
And the level of heart disease and cancer is not going down. In fact, it's escalating. I have some statistics that show 60% of adults, so over the age of 40, 60% have a chronic condition. Mm-hmm. And when you get to 65, it goes up to 85%.
Yeah.
And 75% of deaths are from cancer and heart disease.
Many of those are happening. Probably most, if we look at the statistics, are happening to women.
Yeah. And women get extra stuff that men don't get. Osteoporosis, which also kicks in after the age of 40. Alzheimer's, most 80% of Alzheimer's patients are women. And I think it has something to do with that estrogen change. I don't know enough science about that, and I'd like to talk a little bit about the brain, because your brain has
I do. That's why
the highest concentration of mitochondria in your entire body.
Wait, but the prefrontal cortex specifically,
exactly,
right?
Executive function.
Yeah. Explain a little bit just so my audience, they hear me talk about prefrontal cortex all the time.
Well, and I'm not a brain expert, but your brain has 2 million mitochondria per cell. So these little things that are generating your energy, that cellular energy that you need for anything, the most of them are in your brain. The second highest, by the way, ladies, are women's eggs.
There's
600,000 mitochondria per cell in women's eggs. And the third highest is your heart, which is about 7,000. So basically, the places where the highest energy needs are where the greatest number of mitochondria are. So when your mitochondria are damaged, that's where you're going to see the greatest impact. So this is for infertility. It's really mitochondria.
What do we know about this for infertility?
So for the brain, there's a great book that just came out by Dr. Chris Palmer called Brain Energy. And the entire book is about how all brain disorders, Alzheimer's, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, are really ultimately a mitochondria disease. So you need to protect what you've got. The spirulina in particular, that superoxide dismutase that stops free radical damage, it also protects and stops your telomeres from shortening. It stops amyloid plaques from forming. So we did our first little clinical trial. It was very small with a group called the Gray Team. They're based in Florida, and their goal is to stop suicide of military veterans, which is 35%. So we did this little small test. We did a brain scan of the participants before they test, and then a brain scan after. It was only 30 days, and all we did was give them 30 spirulina tablets a day. That was it, because they come in these little pouches.
Okay.
Nothing else changed. When the first brain scan was done, it showed that and these were veterans who had brain issues since they were discharged. So some of them, it's been 20 years they've had these issues. So the brain scan showed it was all blue, which shows inflammation and lack of activity, lack of brain activity. 30 days later, blue almost completely gone, which means all the inflammation is completely gone, and the brain shows yellow and red, which shows brain activity. And it was both the frontal cortex and the back cortex. Nothing else happened. They also used a biostrap, which measured their sleep and their heart rate variability, and some of them, their heart rate variability increased like 50%.
That's a huge one. Because we've got everybody in our group wearing wearables and looking at things.
Yeah.
And heart rate variability is a tough one, a needle to move.
Yeah. So 50% increase in 30 days with just spirulina. We're going to do it again with a larger study. We're going to do chlorella, and some with chlorella, some with both of them. But so now you're getting nourished, you're getting energy for the day, you're getting all the nutrients you need, you're feeding your mitochondria, and you're reducing inflammation. So we scanned the brain, but decrease in inflammation would occur everywhere throughout the body. It wouldn't just be the brain. It's just that's what we measured. disorders. So for anxiety, sleep disorders, it's all related to the brain. And of course, the brain is connected by the vagus nerve to the gut. So that affects the gut, right?
Gut changes.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm like, what happens as we age is the things that are supposed to happen in our body are not happening anymore.
Exactly.
Which is why this was like my whole purpose of the menopause reset is I wanted to show people that I changed my lifestyle at 43. I had to because all of my menopausal symptoms just changed my outlook on life, changed the way that I felt in my body. So I changed my lifestyle to map to that.
Yeah.
But when I hear, what I want people to realize is that when you say the energy is not like caffeine energy,
no.
All you're bringing back is you're bringing back a nutrient that's going to help the body do what it's supposed to do and what it did at 20 and it
exactly
earlier.
So you'll start to feel like you used to.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember, and maybe it's so long you can't remember what it was like to have endless energy. Because what happens is when you don't have energy, you're so lethargic and you're so depressed because you can't. Everything is a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle to get out there, and the struggle takes away your joy. And when you are missing your joy, then life becomes arduous. It's drudgery.
Yeah.
This gives you back at the cellular level the kind of energy you had naturally when you were younger. And that's when your mitochondria were plentiful, when they were working properly. And so they protecting you and generating all that ATP to help you do whatever you want to do without you even knowing about it. It was just automatic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do we know about what it does? Do we have any research on how either of these products work towards hormones or neurotransmitters? So like you and I talk, one of the things that we're seeing with women as they go through menopause, they lose their sex hormones and then the neurotransmitters follow.
Yeah.
It's a double whammy to moods.
Yeah.
What do we know about what algae can do for that scenario?
Yeah. Well, because mitochondria control everything,
right,
including the hormonal balance. And I don't have the science because I haven't dug into that.
Yeah, but
just conjecture would be.
Can you go back to PubMed?
Yeah. Excuse me for a minute. Well,
come back to me about 40 times later of research on PubMed.
I'm sure there's stuff there. I just haven't been able to find it yet, or so busy because I got also on a sidetrack, which I do want to talk about cancer, especially breast cancer, and what this does for you, because it literally kills cancer cells, not the algae, the blue pigment. But I have to believe that it does facilitate that because it just heals everything in your body because it has all the nourishment that's missing.
I feel like it's like, when you listen to like a podcast like this, and sometimes you put it on 2 or 3 speed, and that's how I feel like aging is. It's like everything's just happening so fast.
Yeah.
What I feel like is this is like putting it on half a speed.
Yeah.
And like it slows that aging process down so that you're not going through your 40s, 50s, 60s and just feeling like every day is like a new body, a new mind.
Yeah. Because the thing is, and this is what was so great about what I've had to do, is you start to learn how your body functions. Like know more about our cell phones than we do about our bodies. And we know that we have to plug our cell phone in at night to charge it. You wouldn't even expect your phone to work if you didn't charge it. But we expect our bodies to keep going without a recharge or a reset. Right. And if you just understand what your body needs and you start to give it what it needs, it works beautifully.
Yeah.
And we had all what we needed up until the age of 30. So we thought that was going to keep going forever.
Well, that's right.
Stop. Right. Guess what? Time out. But not.
Yeah.
But so algae replaces all those things that we had naturally up until 30. And so that you can get back to the way you used to feel when you were that age. I just, I take for granted how I feel. But then, we're at a show here at KetoCon and people are telling me about, this disease they have and that disease. And I'm thinking, wow, I've been taking for granted how great I feel.
So true.
And I forget that, when you say 60% of adults have a chronic disease, and if they're in my age group, it's 85%. And I don't have any of that. And I take no medications. I think, wow, I guess this stuff really does work.